Hi guys, it's Lisa here. So we left off last time that me and my husband had been through our second ectopic last year in 2018, and we've been told by the consultant that we had to go follow the correct procedure and go back to our doctors when we were ready for sort of fertility tests to go on to IVF. So that's kind of what we did, and we did that quite sort of early on really, because we kind of wanted to get the ball rolling because we didn't know how long it would take. Sort of my knowledge of IVF was very little then, and we both assumed actually that it could take up to 6 months, a year to even get referred and go through to the sort of fertility clinic. So but it didn't actually take that long. We got referred fairly quickly. I've been backwards and forwards several times for different things. So we've both had different tests, and he's provided samples, my husband had, and I've had blood tests taken, swabs taken there, all sorts of different tests done. My husband's got super sperm, which is fantastic, and I'm on your average side. So I did have one blood test which we paid for, which isn't covered by the NHS, which counts how many eggs that you have in your ovaries, which we wanted to do to see how I was doing fertility wise, and I'm an average kind of person, so it makes us really compatible, which is great. But I did have to go through one test which was called a Hycosy test, which wasn't the most pleasantest thing I've had to go through at all. So basically this test is done while you're awake. So I went in, put a gown on, they obviously ask you to strip and everything. It's very similar to a smear, but a little bit more in depth. So I went in, the consultant spoke to me. I had a trainee nurse in there, which they asked if she was allowed in, and I said that was fine. I also had the consultant, which explained the procedure, and then a nurse as well. So the consultant basically said that they would open me up with like the clamps that they do when you have a smear test done, and then they would put a catheter in. The catheter would obviously go up a lot further than say your swabs and things do when you have a smear. So she said it can feel crampy, it can feel uncomfortable. And then she said what we'll do then is, while a dye is being put through the catheter to go into the cervix, so it's like sort of syringed in slowly, one of the nurses will do that, and she will do an ultrasound scan inside, and basically this shows up, the dye shows up on the ultrasound to see if it flows. So basically they fill you with dye, and then the dye seeps around, and if it comes out by your ovaries, the flow is okay. So obviously we knew that my one side had been removed, so we knew that the one side wasn't obviously going to go very far. We weren't sure how the other one was going to be, but obviously, like I said last time, we did speak to the consultant, and he said it was very unlikely, because when he did the operation he could see scarring on the left tube. So he said it was very unlikely that we conceived naturally. So this is why this test was being done really. So they they started the procedure, they opened me up with the clamps that they do, which is obviously not the nicest thing to go through by any means, because you have your legs in stirrups, your bum's right sort of end to the end of the bed, so your sort of modesty goes all out the window. And they then stuck the catheter in, which caused me so much cramping instantly. I felt sick, I felt really, really sick, quite shaky. I mean, like I said, the lady before me come out happy and jolly. I'm afraid it wasn't like that for me. I was in quite a lot of pain, and I literally wanted her to finish as soon as she started. So I was holding one of the trainee nurse's hands, which was lovely actually. She was really nice, and she was sort of, breathe through in it. So I was trying to breathe through it, but it was like really intense period cramps, but really, really intense. But because it's kind of putting something up there that forces your body to go into spasm a bit, they said it can cause you to feel a bit sick and things. So I was kind of hoping that they were going to do it as quickly as possible. So then the consultant was like, come on, let's sort of get the dye and get the ultrasound in. They were ready to go, they did that, popped it in, and they did it as really quickly as possible, because I was just saying, have you finished yet, have you finished yet, because it was horrible. I just thought I was going to throw up, to be honest. So they pulled everything out, and then they just let me sort of lie there for a couple of minutes to relax. And the consultant said, the nurse is going to take you back through whenever you're ready, take your time. They got me some water and things, and she said, I'll come and speak to you in a minute about the results. They instantly gave me the results. So I slowly sat up, slowly walked back to the cubicle where I'd left my husband, because unfortunately they're not allowed in with you. You do have to go in on your own. They can come with you, but they can't go in the room with you. So I went back in and she helped me lie on the bed and just relax and have a bit of water, and they got me a, you know, one of those cardboardy sick bowls that they have, just in case. But sort of 10 minutes later it started to ease a bit and I was able to feel a bit more comfortable, so I kind of went and got changed in the toilet and sort of sorted myself out, because there was a lot of loose dye, so it's like a bluey sort of consistency, so when you're wiping, they had that. They did warn me before that would happen, so they said to bring like a pad or panty liner, which I did. I prepared for that, and they did say it could cramp before, so they did say to take some sort of paracetamol or codamol, which I did do as well, but it had little effect, if I'm honest. So and then slowly started to feel better, and within sort of 20 minutes I was back to feeling a comfortable rate. It was a bit crampy still, but copeable. And the consultant actually came in and asked me how I was doing, and I said yeah, and she said, so from the results we can see on the one side, your right side, which was inevitable, there was very little flow. There was sort of a centimetre or two that goes up into the tube, so obviously my rest of my tube had been removed. And she said, and it's exactly the same on the left side, so we think there's a blockage, so unfortunately you are very unlikely to conceive naturally. She said you can carry on trying, but there's no guarantee that you will, so there's only a very small % chance that we would conceive naturally, but it's not 100% guaranteed either. So she said, you know, you can continue trying. She said, and she said what we'll do is we'll refer you for IVF. So that's kind of what they did really. And we hadn't had all of our tests done by this point, so there was a few tests that were outstanding, so I had to have a blood test while I was next on and things like that. So because they like to, I'm not sure what they like to check, a hormone level or something like that. I'm not entirely sure what they're checking. I know they like to check you against, make sure you're covered with rubella and all sorts of different things. So I did have to have a blood test while I was on, and Steve, my husband, like how he said, had to go for a few samples, so it kind of was ongoing really with a few tests. And then we completed all of that and everything. And then on the 27th of December, we went for our consultation for the IVF, and actually we're hoping to start the process this year now. So on the 6th of Feb 2019 we actually will have our next appointment to go through IVF. So they'll go through the whole procedure and what's sort of involved in it, side effects, everything like that. So we're really looking forward to that, which is fantastic. So it's exciting but nerve-wracking at the same time, because on the 27th of December we did have a brief sort of discussion with the consultant, who was really nice. He was a nice gentleman, and he did kind of give us an idea of the procedure, and some of it is not the nicest thing to go through, I've got to be honest, but if you want a baby bad enough, you'll kind of do it. So we're looking forward to hearing more about it and a bit more in depth of it. But there was another issue we kind of faced along the way, and just after my operation I actually had a cervical screening. I think it was about 3 weeks after I'd had the letter come through, and I sort of thought, well, I'm just going to get this over and done with. It's not great timing, but I just wanted to get it over and done with, it out of the way. And we did actually have a problem with that. So my next video will be going on to explaining what the results were, and a further test that I had to go on with, and go into a bit of detail about that really. And then that'll kind of bring us up to date on where we are now really. But thank you for watching. I hope it really helps, and I will speak to you all soon. Thanks very much guys, bye.